Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we are looking at NBA best bets here for Wednesday as we roll along this season. We are going to be going through 4 of those here for you guys on a little slate here that you got to watch because we've got a lot of teams on a back-to-back. So definitely want to navigate that injury report as you're making these plays today. I know we are. Also have player prop video up in a separate episode. So bringing both of those to you each and every weekday now moving forward throughout this NBA season. Subscribe to that page and don't miss any of the action. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first best bet here for this slate on Wednesday.
Yeah, interesting one that I know has seen some action is the Magic at Sixers over. Opened at 204, got up to 209.5, but now it's got some buyback down to 207.5. I would play this up to 210 for sure. I mean, it's just like, as we often say, not your last week's Orlando Magic. Even like things are shifting here. Both teams are on a back to back, but the Magic have been playing much faster and much more productively on offense through Franz Wagner lately. 116 offensive rating, basically 100 pace, which is very fast for the Orlando Magic. Scoring 115.5 and giving up 120 to, I guess, not the Brooklyn Nets, like real NBA offenses at the moment. So over in 3 of their last 4. Philly also over in 3 of their last 4. Turning the corner as Tyrese Maxey turns his corner from the hamstring injury, scoring 112, 114 offensive rating. One of those is against Houston, maybe the best defense in the NBA. And Jared McCain got back on track after the 2 worst games of his career. Nice game off the bench. Could definitely see him logging a lot more minutes here in a back-to-back situation, which is just like more pace and space, more small ball. On the other end, like Magic should be able to bully their way to the rim, right? Mo Wagner. Definitely look at his props, look at McCain props when they come up because of this back-to-back situation. Goga might not be able to go. Again, both these teams are also bottom 10 in transition defense recently. So, I mean, that certainly plays a role in why the points are up for both teams. And you look at the spot, but on a back-to-back this year, Orlando allows 108.5 points per game. That's up 8 points per game. Last year, it was out all the way up at 115 on back-to-backs. And just on the road, they allow 8.5 more a game, 106.5. It was 111 last year versus, allowing under 100 at home, which is just unheard of in today's NBA. I know Sixers offense has been stuck in the mud at times, but I think Maxey continues to do his thing here, and it's a matchup problem for Orlando.
Yeah, no word on Paul George playing or not, but to be honest, like as well as he played on offense last night, I think he's still a bigger help to their defense. I think that the overall his impact is felt a little bit more on the defensive end for PG. If he's in there, I don't know that he's going to play tonight. So if he's out, that's another really big helpful additive to the over here for that game. So yeah, it's crazy. It was weird to hear a total be talked about. Like it was at 204. It got bet up to 209. It was like, oh, wow, we're getting crazy here. Let's put some regular coffee in with the decaf as we play that game. But let me get into my first play here for Mini and LAC. Nate, am I crazy to buy into Minnesota a little bit? Can I just ask you that before I go into my stuff?
No, I don't think so. I mean, clearly I had the wrong side on Monday. They are also turning a corner to a degree. It's more about figuring out the Clippers than, in this handicap, but go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't like the only one being like, the tide's turning, right? We're seeing this sort of change for Minnesota, which starts with their interior defense. And that's a lot what I'll talk about, but I'll take them at -3.5 on the road here and just, basically just go with the team that I think is playing better at this current moment in time. Now, the Clippers looked really good against the Blazers. I don't know what you want to do with that. I wish I had gone to the under on James Harden PRA. That was clearly going to be a blowout. But I think this is just a somewhat of a letdown game, almost of like, it's like you just came off this crappy game that you won by 1 million points. I just don't see that as like a big motivation factor. But more to the stats, like Minnesota has played the hardest schedule in the league in the last 5 and has kind of used this really rough patch of 5 really good teams, really 10 straight games of really good teams that they're playing, hardest strength of schedule over the last 5. And they seem to be using that to right their defense more than anything. They are in those 5 games. They played Boston, Houston, Sac. They beat the Clippers by 1 point in there, and then played that back-to-back against the Lakers as well. They're only 2-3 in those last 5, but like I said, really turning things around. Finally upping that interior defense, 10th in paint field goal percentage that they're allowing in the last 10 games. In the last 5 games, they're down to 8th best in terms of the amount of points that they're allowing inside the paint. Rudy going from bottom 10, limiting stuff right inside the 5 feet area, to now being in the top 15 finally, which is weird to say that they just got there. But I think the other thing here for them on offense is going to be them shooting above the break stuff. And we've seen that like be the shot of choice for this team with guys like DiVincenzo, Ant, and even Mike Conley all taking a ton of shots from up above the break. And then Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker taking stuff in the corners. So they're finding their identity a little bit more on offense as guys start to like come back around to hitting shots, because I think they'll keep this barrage of threes that they need, that they've been using on their offense. I don't know that that's going to change because it's not necessarily like they have the smoothest offense, as we know. For LAC, like you said, it's kind of figuring them out. They're a really good defense. This total is so low, 213. I really wanted to go under in this game as these teams both slow down the pace and both up their defensive rating. I believe for the Clippers, they've been up at about top 5 in the last 10 games in their D rating. Same concept for the Timberwolves. They've gotten down to the second best D rating in their last 5. So both these teams now 4th and 7th on the season. Like, this is where I think they're going to live. And the pace for both these teams is bottom 10. The Timberwolves have been playing even slower, about 28th. I actually just think that does play into their hand a little bit. I do think we'll see Zoo struggle a bit on offense to get those points in the paint against Rudy one-on-one. We've got Nas coming in, who's also been playing pretty good D as well. His on-off court defensive rating has been really good as well, coming in with the backups, but also playing with the starters a lot, as we've seen Randall and Nas Reed lineups together a lot. And I think that'll be a problem because Nas Reed is really a big problem at that point, because if he's out there and you have two dudes that are both bigger than pretty much everybody else on the Clippers other than Zubac, they're going to be in some trouble in that one. So I don't like the trajectory for the Clippers as much as the Timberwolves, and I'm going to take them in a sort of good swing spot here for them to keep the momentum up.
Yeah, I mean, everything you're talking about makes me think that the under is a good play.
I know, me too.
maybe more so than a side. Yeah, just talking about how well these teams could potentially defend each other. They just played 93-92 in Minnesota. Clippers won 8 straight at home, a lot of it on the strength on the back of their defense. But it is a back-to-back spot, so I think you have to look into more of that, see who's going to play for the Clippers. Yeah, if they're going to have guys out there who can defend. It looks like Terrence Mann might not go.
Right. He's out for a bit. He's had a fractured finger. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, less athleticism for sure. Maybe Minnesota could exploit that, get Julius Randle going on some switches, whatnot. But, yeah, let me take the Pacers -2. I talk about a streak, 7 straight losses on the road. Tyrese Halliburton looking abysmal on the road, although he's coming off a 30-point game in Toronto. Maybe theme of the show, turning the corner. But this is more about the Nets. On Monday, again, my first instinct was just like Bulls -5. Yeah, let's go for it. And then I tried to get cute and parlay that with the over. Bulls just rolled the Nets. The Nets could not score, even against the Chicago Bulls, maybe the worst defense out there, because they're a skeleton crew, these Nets. And I mean, not only that, like, they should continue to sit guys as they plant their flag for flag, right? I mean, it was a nice little spark for the start of the season, but now it's time to lose some games. So we know Zaire Williams, Noah Clowney out, in addition to Cam Thomas. A few other guys are questionable, including Cam Johnson, which would be huge if he continues to miss. As mentioned on Monday, their 3-point defense has fallen towards the bottom of the league after a nice start. Overall defense is 29th in rating in the last 10. And I mean, on the Pacers side, they 7 of these road games. Yeah, I have no excuses for losing twice to Toronto. Maybe that's a bad matchup. For scoring 80 in Charlotte, I have no excuse for that. Like, I'm not here to make excuses for the Indiana Pacers, who apparently cannot win. But I mean, last year they did bounce back after losses. They did handle their business as favorites. This is a very small spread for easily one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA as currently constituted in the Nets. This is a spot for them to snap a 3-game losing streak, a 7-game road losing streak, use superior depth, much better offense. And they do have Nembhard back if Halliburton continues to struggle a little bit, or they have problems on the back-to-back. Go to TJ McConnell, let him change the game. But it's good to see at least Hallie being aggressive his last 6, wherever it was, right? I mean, that was more of the issue early in the season, is just super passive. But he's taken 11 threes a game, hitting 43% in these last 6, getting points. And then that'll open everything up for the Pacers, allow Siakam to bounce back from a really horrible game against his former team there. And just, run away from a Nets team that just can't really keep pace with real NBA offenses.
Yeah, I have to check out the injury report once again for that team, which changes by the minute, it feels like. And I don't know what they're doing. I imagine they're still actually tanking. Yeah, I think we still got DFS and Cam Johnson questionable, just making sure. Ben Simmons questionable, likely not to play. I mean, yeah, obviously without Cam Thomas, don't even have Zaire Williams now. I guess we're going to be seeing some Day'Ron Sharp. Like, look, man, basically this is like, if the Pacers don't win this game, we need to pause and go like, who are you? Like, what are you at this point? To be honest, if you can't run this Nets team out the gym, then you're in trouble, especially with the sort of the guns that they're going to have for hire on Wednesday night. But let me go to that Milwaukee Atlanta game, zag on you here, and go under 236.5 on that total. Sounds crazy. This is two teams that are playing fast, pretty good offenses, and obviously with Dame and the Bucks at full strength, that's going to always be a lot better. But I will say at the same time, like the offensive rating for the Bucks has only come around in the last 10 games. They've been definitely a juggernaut. But don't look now. The Hawks aren't that bad on defense, and I don't think it's that crazy to say when you consider what we were talking about with the addition of Dyson Daniels, and with the increased play and usage for Jalen Johnson, things like that, with the decrease in Bogey's minutes as well. That's been a huge reason for the uptick in defense. Although since he's come back, they haven't been bad either in the last like 4 or 5 games. Their D rating is up to 7th in the last 5. In the last 10 overall, 9th best defensive rating for this Hawks team. Both teams playing at a fast pace. I totally get that, and I can't really argue that. I mean, Milwaukee's 15th on the season in terms of pace. The Hawks are the ones playing fast, up at 2nd. They are getting fast break points as well, but that is where I do think that the Bucks should at least have some success, is limiting those fast break points, as they've been getting back a lot better on defense over the course of the last 10 games. They are up to about 17th. And I say up to because they were terrible. And this is something that Doc Rivers has been preaching since he came in. Like, 17th sounds bad against the fast break points, not when you put it up against 28th, right? And the previous season, 30th before Doc Rivers got there in terms of allowing fast break points to the opponent for Milwaukee. So limiting that stuff is going to be huge for a team that I still don't trust too much in the half court offense for this Hawks team. They have the highest percentage of their points shot inside the paint in the half court offense. Thank you, cleaning the glass. Right. So like, that's going to be something that I do care about, is like, if you're going to the paint against this Bucks team and you don't have the same level of 3-point shooting that you've been throwing out there the last couple seasons, and especially under Quinn Snyder, then you're not going to have as much success against the Bucks. You're going right into the teeth of their drop defense, where they are still a top 5 teams in limiting field goal percentage inside of 5 feet. So if you're going to the rim on the drive as well, this is a team that is going to be able to handle you. Brook Lopez, say what you want about the old man, he's still doing his thing on defense, and is still a very, very, very good rim protector. And that's why that's the teeth of their defense, like I said. So I'm not really worried about that. For Atlanta on D, it's really going to be about them limiting the above the break stuff, and then obviously building a bit of a wall for Giannis. But I do think that with Dyson Daniels just draped all over Dame after a game last night where he took a ton of shots, led the team on that side of the floor as well. Like, I don't know exactly what we're going to be getting from him, but I think that if he doesn't have the speed to get around or get his shot off against Dyson Daniels, he's in trouble. And that Dyson Daniels defense is what I attribute to this team being so good above the break on defense over the course of its last like 10 games, since it really turned things around on defense. They have the 5th best defensive field goal percentage on 3-point shots taken above the break. The Bucks might get into the corner a little bit. I kind of like AJ Green for that reason. I do think they'll be forced to pass down a little bit, and he'll be the forgotten man. But yeah, I think either way, like, points are not necessarily going to be as at much of a premium. Or they will be at a premium. They'll be a little bit harder to get, I should say, and we can go under 237 in this one.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And again, it makes me think of another angle, which is the Hawks to win here or cover 4. Because, yeah, I mean, just looking at the spot for the Bucks back-to-back after an NBA Cup win that they really needed, came out hard, and then they are in Boston on Friday. So it's very much a trap spot for them at home. I think if you like under, it's 120.5 for the Bucks. I don't think they get above 120 in this spot. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Giannis sits or somebody else key sits because of the back-to-back. So yeah, lean Hawks here. They're starting to play good ball, but yeah, mostly on defense, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to watch, honestly. And Capella's been getting his minutes. Okongu back has helped them on the second unit with that defense as well. That'll be huge against Bobby Portis, who has been owning weak benches. So yeah, this is to me. I do like the under, but you're right. As I keep talking, I'm like, oh, why are we so afraid of Atlanta plus 4.5? Because we saw them play some duty games in the last like 10 games, but really in their last 5, like they're not bad. They're looking good. They play up to and down to their competition. I will say that. So that's all the time we have for you in Best Bets. Make sure you are subscribed to that page and don't miss the Play of Props episode that we have up alongside this one each and every weekday. And until we see you next, happy betting.